ready for pattern number 4 of the I'm Enough quilt along. Today we're going to make hourglass blocks. We have 7 blocks to make. They're made 2 at a time, so you are going to have 1 block extra. Let me show you. Okay, so you've got an A fabric and a B fabric, and we're going to go ahead and draw an X on the diagonal of your A fabric or your B fabric, it don't matter which one, and then you're going to layer them on top of each other. Then you're going to pick one of these drawn lines, it doesn't matter which one you pick, and you're going to sew a 1/4 inch on both sides of it. So now we're going to cut on both diagonal lines that we drew. You're going to take each one of these, you're going to end up with 4 pieces that look like this, and then you're going to open them up and press. We're going to spray them with some starch. And then we're going to go up and down on them. Remember not to move your iron across them because they are triangles cut on the bias. So we're lifting and lowering our iron, just like this. Notice that 2 of them will look like this, and then, see, this doesn't go together, but this does. So you're going to take it, when they look like that, you're going to have 2 of them that do this. See? But you're going to take them over like this. You're going to find the 2 seams together, and then you're going to put a pin directly in that seam. This way your seams will match up. And then you're going to repeat that for this other one. Okay, so I've got both of my halves pinned, and I'm going to go and sew 1/4 inch right down here. I'm going to give you a few options. If you don't have this half square triangle ruler, you can go ahead and press these seams open and then trim this guy down to 6.5 inches. But if you're like me and you want to use this ruler to make things easier for yourself, here's my 6.5 inch line. It looks like a stitch line. I'm going to put this line directly down on my stitch line right here. I'm also going to line up this middle line with the seam on my hourglass. Once I've got it lined up where I want it, I'm going to press down, and then I'm going to give this guy a trim. Okay, and I'm going to repeat this for this other one. Now I'm going to press these guys open. And I'm going to do the same thing that I do with my half square triangles, and that's press my seams on the back side to open up my seam. Just lightly, and then flip it over, and then do the same with this one. I'm going to spray these with starch and then use my iron and press. And voila! 2 hourglass quilt blocks. Okay, so the pattern calls for 6 of these 6.5 inch blocks. There's also 1 12.5 inch hourglass block required. And we're going to do this one the exact same way we did the other one. Although, we may have to pin this guy up a little bit because he's so big. One of the differences between making the bigger hourglass blocks than the small hourglass blocks is that little 6.5 inch square half square triangle ruler will not square up something this big. So here's what we use instead. If you have a 12.5 inch ruler, this would be the easiest thing, to go ahead and press open your seams and get your block nice and pressed flat, and then line your 12.5 inch ruler up, making sure that all 4 points are right on that seam where the two different fabrics meet. You'll just trim around the edges. And there you go, a perfectly squared 12.5 inch hourglass. Let's say you don't have that 12.5 inch square ruler. Here's what you do. We need to find the center of both of these measurements. So to do that, we're going to fold this up. We're going to make sure and take extra care that we are folding at the right place, and then we're going to finger press. And then we're going to do that in the opposite direction as well. So our block is supposed to be 12.5 inches square, so we need to divide 12.5 inches by 2. 12.5 inches divided by 2 is 6.25. So we're going to find 6.25 on our mat. Let me move this down for you. And we are going to put our drawn line on 6.25 at the bottom and 6.25 at the top. And then we're going to cut off these edges. We do want to make sure that our block is laying straight on a line. That's important. So now I'm going to take a ruler and I'm going to lay it carefully without moving it and line up the line of the 0 and trim that off. I'm going to count down to 12.5 inches, and I'm going to do the same thing right here. And once you've done this, one side should be exactly 12.5 inches. So again, we're going to take our finger press line and put it on the 6.25 inches at the bottom and at the top. We're also going to make sure our bottom line is straight across one of the lines of the mat, and we're going to do the same thing. There you go. So that's how you do it without a 12.5 inch ruler. Now remember, you only need one of these for your quilt, so you can put the other one in a stash for a future quilt.